Hello students, this is Sriram Shastri. I once again welcome you back to my new video session. So this video is continuation of the topic human reproduction. In the last video session we had discussed about the female reproductive system, and that we had discussed about the structure of ovary. Today we are continuing with the structure of fallopian tube, structure of uterus and structure of vaginal canal. Okay. So starting with the fallopian tube. So fallopian tube, as you can see on the board. Okay, already in the last video I had drawn the diagram, and with the diagram I had explained it in a brief manner. Here we are continuing with the detailed structure of fallopian tube. So fallopian tube generally contains about 4 parts. That is, it's around a 10 to 12 centimeter long tubular structure. Internally it is lined by ciliated epithelium. This epithelium is very helpful for rolling off the ovum during the cleavage, and after fertilization. Fertilization there is cleavage, that is division of the zygote, and it helps to roll this zygote into the uterus for implantation. Okay, so ciliated epithelium is present in the inner lining of the fallopian tube. It is approximately 10 to 12 centimeter long tubular structure. So the uterine part of the fallopian tube connects the fallopian tube to the uterus. Okay, so the uterine part I have not written, except uterine part. Remaining 3 parts of the fallopian tube I have written here. That is, first part is infundibulum, which has the finger-like projections called fimbriae. Second part called ampulla, and the third part called isthmus. Isthmus is joined to the uterine part of the fallopian tube, which connects it to the uterus directly. Clear? So if you talk about the infundibulum, infundibulum is a very important structure. Basically, the reason is it is helpful for receiving the ovum after the ovulation. So on 14th day of the menstrual cycle, the ovum is released by rupturing of the Graafian follicle. From that, the peritoneal cavity, the ovum has to enter inside the fallopian tube. So ovum is non-motile. So the finger-like projections of the infundibulum, they receive the ovum inside the fallopian tube, or secondary oocyte inside the fallopian tube. After that, the ciliated epithelium rolls that oocyte towards the site of fertilization. Second part is ampulla. This ampulla is the region where exactly the fertilization takes place. If on 14th day there is any intercourse and insemination has occurred, then the sperms travel towards the ovum, and the site where they fertilize the ovum is ampulla. Ampulla is the region where the fertilization occurs in human female reproductive system. Third part is isthmus. Now isthmus is the site where the cleavage of the zygote starts. If the fertilization is completed, only then there will be cleavage, and after the cleavage has started, the rolling of the cleavage will continue, and the rolling of that primitive embryo will take place towards the uterine part. From the uterine part, it reaches the uterus where it gets implanted. Clear? So fallopian tube just conveys the ovum to the site of fertilization. Then after fertilization, it will roll that zygote with the cleavage undergoing into the uterus for implantation. Clear? Now coming to the structure called uterus. Now uterus is also called as metra, or also called as hystera. It's also called as metra or hystera. Then you can talk about uterus. You can divide uterus into 2 parts. First part is the outer linings of the uterus, and 4 parts of the uterus structure. Okay. So outer lining, if you talk about, it is having 3 layers. How many? 3 layers. The outer perimetrium, the middle myometrium, and the innermost endometrium. Clear? So perimetrium is made up of connective tissue. It is the thin layer externally covering the uterus. It is thin layer externally covering the uterus. The major portion of the uterine lining is the second layer, which is myometrium. Myometrium is made up of smooth muscles. It's a layer of smooth muscles which is very important during the process of parturition, or what we call as childbirth. The contractions of these muscles itself expel the fetus outside or during the parturition. Clear? Then the third innermost lining is endometrium. Now endometrium can be divided into two parts. What are those? The stratum functionale, or also called as pars functionale, and stratum basale, or also called as pars basal. So the basal part is thin part which is permanent, which will not be periodically changing. The basal part is thin part of endometrium which is remaining permanently in the endometrial lining. It does not shed periodically with the menstrual cycle. Then which part it undergoes shedding and periodical change? It is the stratum functional or pars functional. Pars functionale is the upper part which is thick part, generally made of squamous epithelium, ciliated epithelium, and many mixture of cells, even mucus secreting cells also. This layer is also connected to blood vessels and it's periodically been shed away during the menstrual cycle. Clear? Now this is what is about the outer linings of the uterus. We'll talk about the inner part now. The inner part, if you talk about the inner part of the uterus, can be divided into four parts. What are those? Fundus, cornua, corpus, cervix. Okay. Fundus, cornua, corpus, and cervix. Cervix can be further divided with the connecting apertures, the upper connecting aperture and the lower connecting aperture. Upper connecting aperture, which is external os, and internal os. Internal os is the internal connection of uterus to cervical canal, and cervical canal leads to vaginal canal. So vaginal canal, the connection between it is called as cervix. Okay. Now cervix is having a small canal which connects the vaginal canal and the uterus, which is called as cervical canal. This cervical canal is around 2.5 centimeter in length. What is the function of it? This cervical canal secretes mucosal blood during the pregnancy and avoids entry of any foreign particles inside the uterus only during the pregnancy. That's it. Corpus is the body part. The major important part of the uterus is called as body, or it is also called as the this corpus part. Then cornua and fundus part is the upper and the side parts. Upper part is the fundus and the side part which connects the fallopian tube is the cornua. That is what is the structure of internal four parts of the uterus. Now coming to the last part, which is the external opening of the female reproductive tract called as the vagina. So the vagina, again vaginal, it is having a canal called as vaginal canal. It is measuring around 7.5 centimeter in length. The vaginal canal measures around 7.5 centimeter approximately, and it is generally having secretions from cervical glands. The mucus is secreted into the vaginal canal for lubrication purpose during the sexual intercourse, and this mucus is secreted from the vestibular gland and the cervical glands. Secondly, the vestibule. Vestibule is the region where the cervix and vagina are connected. This region is called as the vestibule. Vestibule leads to the external opening of the vagina, which is called as vaginal orifice. The external opening is called as vaginal orifice, and this external opening called vaginal orifice is generally being covered with a thin flap of skin called as hymen. Now this hymen can break because of sexual intercourse or maybe because of heavy exercises. Then this inside the vaginal canal there are infoldings. The infoldings of the layer of epithelial tissue is actually striated squamous epithelium. This tissue generally forms foldings. These foldings are called as vaginal rugae. Vaginal rugae permanently are not present. Vaginal rugae are present in the beginning of the what you call as maturity, but after the first parturition, that is after the first childbirth, usually the rugae reduce and disappear. Then if you talk about the region called fornix, the end part which is connected to it is called as the fornix. Okay. So then if you talk about the next one, so after the fornix, the last thing about the vaginal canal we have to discuss is about the lactobacilli acidophilus. What is this? Now there is an organism which is present inside the vaginal canal. It's called as Lactobacillus acidophilus. It's a type of bacteria called lactobacilli or LAB. So this bacteria produces, it's a symbiotic bacteria we can say, it's a helpful bacteria. It produces lactic acid. This lactic acid maintains the pH of the vaginal canal between 3.5 to 4.9. Now this 3.5 to 4.9 is the optimum pH of vagina. This pH protects the vaginal canal from any kind of microbial infections. So to protect the vaginal canal from any foreign infectious organisms, naturally Lactobacilli acidophilus produces lactic acid inside the mucus of vaginal canal. These are all the important points with respect to your theory as well as your entrance test. So I hope you might have understood the structure of the female reproductive system. In the next video, we'll continue with the structure of mammary glands, and then we'll talk about the menstrual cycle and its phases. For today, we'll stop this video here itself. Thank you.